Folks, 52 points and 701 total yards means that Oklahoma fans now get to back off of Dillon Gabriel and Jeff Lebby moving forward. No more stupid tweets, no more stupid conversation about what the hell the problem is in Oklahoma, because we know one thing: it's not Lebby and it isn't Dillon Gabriel. Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Big week this week. If you're an Oklahoma fan, it's definitely a big week. About the only thing that kept it from being a perfect Saturday for Oklahoma fans, I would think, would have been if they hadn't have blown that call in Austin that should have been a targeting. It ended up in a turnover for Iowa State. They end up not going down and being able to score and either tie or win the game at the end. Now, I'm sure Texas fans are going to sit there and more great news, though, if you're a Sooner fan. First off, Okie Light takes it on the chin. All that big talk out there in Stillwater is just about how we expected. They lose the game they shouldn't lose. Even though, you go down to a 24-7 lead, 10 minutes left in the second quarter, and you've got a 24-7 lead. You proceed to score 6 more points for the rest of regulation. Also, hey, listen, big win for Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Volunteers. That's, of course, Josh Heupel, the former Oklahoma quarterback, national champion. He's Tennessee Volunteers knock off number 3 Alabama. First win over Alabama in 16 seasons. So amazing job by those guys. That was one of the best football games I've seen all season. But anytime Alabama goes down, something I saw on Twitter the other night, America wins. So big win there. And then, of all things to have happened, especially with the way that the USC trolls have been out lately, Lincoln's USC Trojans go into Utah and also jump out to a pretty good lead and can't hold off Cameron Rising and those pesky Utah Utes, losing 43-42 towards the end of the game. Big 2-point conversion for Cameron Rising. Listen, Caleb Williams, I'm not bad-mouthing that guy. I love him. I think he's a great player. He did everything he could for the Oklahoma program. He didn't leave right away. He played in the bowl game. He does not owe Oklahoma anything. So you're not going to get any bad-mouthing of him. He had an amazing game, 380-something yards, 5 touchdowns himself. Listen, if you can't win that game, it turns out, it just goes to show you it was a lot of the same stuff that was going on in Norman whenever Lincoln was the coach here. And, of course, he's got the same defensive coordinator. But that's a good thing. If you're an Oklahoma fan, like I said, you've got Lincoln lost, Okie State and their big mouths lost. Heupel goes and knocks off Nick Saban, the biggest crybaby in the world. Not the biggest. He's a little behind Jimbo, but they're right there together. Anytime, I'm so sick of Alabama, so I love it anytime they lose. The only thing that would have been better would Texas would have lost, but beggars can't be choosers. It's a good deal for Oklahoma overall. The main thing is to come back, get a win after 3 straight losses. That's big for them. On our reaction show today, we are going to run down. We're going to talk a lot about Oklahoma bouncing back in that game, and we're going to go to a quick commercial real quick, and then we'll be right back to talk about Dillon Gabriel and that offense's amazing showing in that first half and overall in that win over Kansas.
and feel like, I wasn't out there to, be with them. And obviously it left a bad taste in all of our mouths, but shoot, we just had to keep grinding and find a way to come out on top. And I think that's what I love about our guys. They're very selfless and look themselves in the mirror and see how can they be better for this team. And I feel like everyone did a good job about that this week.
Nothing more needs to be said to Dillon Gabriel or about Dillon Gabriel not being up to the task of being the quarterback of this football team at Oklahoma, folks. No more stupid tweets. No more bashing on him or Jeff Lebby for that matter. This game in this win over Kansas, 440 yards, total yards. He was 29 of 42 for 403 and 2 touchdowns through the air. He added 37 yards on 10 carries on the ground, another touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns, 440 yards. That makes in his last 2 full games that he actually played, in the Kansas State game and, of course, this Kansas game, 830 total yards, 7 touchdowns to 1 turnover. Or I'm sorry, 2 turnovers now. They were both in this game, And then he got people over there. Now, listen, I understand that he missed a couple of third downs and 4. But, folks, you realize that was 550 total yards of offense in that game, in the Kansas State game. This game, they had 701 total yards and a half 100, 52 points. You can't tell me that this was, if there's an issue, it certainly isn't Dillon Gabriel. And for that matter, it's not Jeff Lebby either. So stop. I can tell you, I don't think that you need to be pointing the finger at anybody in particular. I talked in my last video. You can take a look right here at the one above. There's the information. You can just click on it. But I'll tell you what, as much blame as anybody gets, including Lincoln, there's a lot of blame to go around. But I think that you need to take a look at the guy who started this whole thing in motion 6 years ago, Bob Stoops. He wasn't the same guy, and he has still cast a shadow over this. That's what this video is about, is his level of influence is too much. I know I got a lot of heat from you folks in there in the comment section. That's fine. But the truth of it is, I mean, if you just go back and actually look at the video, not just the thumbnail with the headline on it, I explain what I'm talking about. And the bottom line is simple. They kind of put training wheels on everything for Lincoln. Now, was that defense going to get better under Lincoln? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not with Alex Grinch, and which I don't understand why Lincoln he's at major programs that you can go get the big boys for the trenches. Why aren't you doing it? If you're coaching at a place like Tech, maybe you need to do that. But you don't have to do that at Oklahoma, and you certainly don't have to do it at USC, not with the fertile recruiting grounds you got in these 2 places. What I will tell you is, if there's a big issue right now, and this is an issue that's being addressed, it's defense. The K-State game, they give up over 500 yards, almost just under 400 yards to Adrian Rodriguez. And, listen, you just have to know that. And then, of course, the next week, Max Duggan just goes crazy on him as well. And then, of course, in the Red River game, that wasn't good either. Listen, defensively, you got to stop somebody. And even in this past game, what I will say about the Kansas game, yeah, they gave up 42. And you can, if you want to really be picky about it, they gave up 42 and 400 and something yards to a backup quarterback. But I'm going to tell you something. There was, I mean, you got to give some credit where it's due there too. They made some adjustments. You had some good turnovers that were forced. They had that one interception where the kid tipped it with one hand and then brought it in anyway. And then they got another interception later in the game. Listen, bottom line is when you go out and you're Dillon Gabriel, you go out there and you put up 35 points and over 500 yards in the first half, you're doing your job. And this is coming off a major concussion where he had to miss most of the TCU game. He got hurt very early into the second quarter of that game. missed the Red River game. And, but I think that he showed with his, what his leadership really was. Let's take a look at what he was talking about. A couple of the things that he had to say here. Obviously, you just saw with that about how happy he was to be back in it. But let's just talk a little bit about his leadership skills and why maybe we should back off this kid.
Said that there was a point during meetings this week when you guys are watching film as he said that he felt like that was sort of like, oh, here's our I know things it just feels like I remember it.
Yeah, I think with that certain situation, I just, it's such a little thing, but when guys are spread out and sitting far back and there's kind of seats in between, I like to fill it up. You know what I mean? Make sure we're all close. And like I said, it's so little, but it's also a big thing in making sure, we're all committed and whatever, people say, let's go do it, with whatever it is. So it's funny looking back at that because we were just joking around, having a bunch of fun. But, like I said, the little things truly do matter.
I really like hearing that part, that last little part there. Think about that for just a second, folks. You got to think about that for just a second. The little things really do matter, he said. And that's exactly if we're talking about culture, which we've been in the last couple of videos and stuff, but that's the culture that Venables and company is trying to instill in these guys. This is a guy who came in with 8,000 yards and 70 touchdowns before he ever got to Oklahoma. Now, bottom line, of whatever you think about who he was or what he was coming in, you weren't getting Caleb Williams back. He was gone. He is gone. Okay? Gone with Lincoln. And you can't even blame him for going. The people that are loving all this, crying Caleb stuff, I'm not getting on Caleb Williams. I'm not doing it. And I don't want to hear any of that crap either. Don't come at me with that one. What I'm going to tell is Dillon Gabriel Caleb Williams? No. He's not supposed to be. But what he was generally the general consensus is he was the best available quarterback in the transfer portal. It's pretty obvious what he means to this program right now for winning games right now. Because without him, look at what happened. And listen, you can say what you want about the game plan for the Red River. Hey, listen, they took a shot with the Wildcat type of stuff. I didn't necessarily agree with it. But what I'm going to say, if we're going to talk about that kind of stuff, Lebby was the most sought after offensive coordinator in the country. Also, go look at Lane Kiffin. Ask him anybody if they wanted to lose him. They didn't. Okay. So, but just talking about Dillon there, and he's talking about how important it was that, something as simple as that in the meeting room, everybody's way spread out. They're watching, and he decides to take it upon himself and say, hey, guys, get up here and fill in these chairs and let's get closer. He was talking about being closer as a unit. And what did Braden Willis say? He says, man, that's our guy right there. That's our guy. They look to this kid. And we're over here bashing him in Twitter and everywhere else, all over social media. I've seen it everywhere. Knock it off. That's enough. When you put up 701 yards in a game, 500 in the first half, and half 100 points, it doesn't have anything to do with the offense. Just pray that the guy stays in the game. He doesn't get hurt again. But, I think it's pretty obvious that his leadership ability is just a big thing. It's so important. What did he say? The little things truly do matter. And, part of those little things, as fans, you guys have got to step up and do a better job than that, than just attacking these kids and expecting things that they lost a lot of guys. They had 43% turnover off of that roster in total. In the entire coaching staff, gone, done. Okay. Expectations were a little high, thinking that they were going to go to the freaking playoff or win the conference championship. Chances, pretty much that the chances to win the conference are over. Now, they still have stuff ahead of them. And when you listen to some of the things, when he was talking about the concussion protocol a little later on in this in the interview session there, he was talking about how he took that first 48 hours very serious, not using the cell phone, watching TV, any of that. He said that out of both of those days, he probably was only awake about 8 hours each day. The rest of the time he slept, rested. It was important to him to get back as soon as he could. He's really was grateful that he was able to get back when he did too. Another thing that I really liked hearing from him, and look, I've said it, I think it was a dirty hit that he took at TCU. I think that it's pretty clear that it was a dirty hit. He says, I didn't want to be angry, and I don't believe there was any ill intentions by him. Talking about that TCU linebacker. That's pretty stand-up. He didn't have to give him that the benefit of the doubt there. He didn't have to. Pretty stand-up. And then the one thing that I keep noticing, you keep hearing him say, I'm proud for our guys for digging deep in the way that after the last 3 weeks, to dig deep like that and come up with a win the way that we did. I was proud of him. He's always deflecting praise. He got a lot of praise during this. I mean, he should have gotten a lot of praise for the game, but he always deflects that. But he did, even though, I'm going to tell you, I don't think he deserved any of that crap that he got after the K-State game. Did he miss a couple of receivers? Yeah, he missed a total of like 8 passes out of 38 or something like that. 8 or 9 passes. No turnovers. 391 total yards, 4 touchdowns. And he did, you know what though? Everybody was giving him hell and giving Lebby hell, but it was him. But he took responsibility for that. He said that he had to do better. Look, I don't know what else you can do as far as leadership's concerned. And I don't know who any of you thought was going to be hanging around the transfer portal that was going to be better than Dillon Gabriel. I know Chip Kelly wanted him pretty bad. So I think that, I think I've said enough on that. But folks, bottom line is simple. These guys stepped up and did what they needed to do in a big position. I don't want to hear any of this about the fact that, hey man, it's just Kansas, blah, blah, blah. They were number 19 in the country. They gave TCU all they could handle a week ago until they lost their starting quarterback. When Jalen Daniels went out, they lost by 7. 38-31 was the final score there. And look, they gave, even still, look at what they did, putting up 42 with their backup against Oklahoma. Yes, the Sooners still have some issues to work out on that defense. But to pick up a couple of turnovers themselves, it seemed like that they were in place to be able to make plays more often than you've seen in the last few weeks. And guys, this is going to just be a work in progress. You just have to know that. I think that's pretty clear. But also on that offense, talking offensively, look at the way that Eric Gray has just stepped up. He had 20 carries for 176 and 2 touchdowns the other day. You've got Javonte Barnes, freshman from Las Vegas. He's contributing 21 carries in the game the other day, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. They're moving along at the right pace on the offensive side. On the defensive side, they're a little behind, but they're also a little behind in body type and what it is that Venables is trying to do. I have faith that he's probably going to figure that one out. He's one of the best defensive coaches in the country, period.